Hey friends, I'm Linda Moon, Director of Grow Kids Curriculum. Welcome to the series walkthrough for Under Construction, a 5-week series from 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles on Solomon. We recommend this series for the month of September because the Bible stories of how Solomon used God's wisdom in his dealings with others align with our fall discipleship strategy, spending time with others. However, our scope and sequence takes kids through every major Bible story in 3 years, so feel free to teach this series whenever you'd like. So let's take a closer look at what Under Construction is all about. In week 1, we'll look at the story in 1 Kings chapter 1, where one of David's other sons, Adonijah, tried to become king himself, even though God's plan was for Solomon to inherit the throne. Luckily, people like the prophet Nathan intervened and got them back on track. That's why this week's big idea is God gives us directions to follow. In week 2, we'll take a look at 1 Kings chapter 3 when Solomon asked God for wisdom, which was already a wise move. And kids might be able to relate to how Solomon didn't feel ready or skilled enough to be a leader, but at his request for wisdom, God equipped him with that and so much more, making this week's big idea, God listens to our requests. Then in week 3, we'll look at 2 Chronicles chapter 5 when Solomon built the temple and people began to worship and give thanks to God. And even though this wasn't exactly what God had in mind, the greatness of the temple was a physical representation of this week's big idea. God is worthy of our worship. In week 4, we're back in 1 Kings chapter 3 to see how Solomon used wisdom and compassion to settle a dispute between 2 women. This story, along with the secondary scripture in James chapter 3, reminds us of this week's big idea. God gives us true wisdom. And finally, in week 5, we'll look at 2 Chronicles chapter 9 for the story of how the Queen of Sheba saw that Solomon's wisdom and splendor weren't from his own efforts, but because of his God, the same God who helps us do big things too. This month's memory verse, James chapter 1, verse 5, invites us to follow Solomon's lead. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Now let's talk about the theme. At Grow Kids, we love pairing an engaging theme with each teaching series and creating an environment around it to really bring the Bible stories to life. The theme for this series is construction, because we're talking about building our lives on the foundation of God's wisdom. So to decorate your space, clearly you need to make it a construction zone using backdrops, caution tape, toy construction vehicles and tools, construction signs, and of course, traffic cones. Other fun ideas include distributing construction-themed snacks and preparing cute themed giveaways for things like learning the memory verse or bringing a first-time visitor or, just for fun. And don't forget to outfit your team with hard hats and reflective vests to add to the hype. Check out the environment guide included in your resources folders that contain even more ideas, fonts and color schemes, Pinterest board links, curated Spotify playlists for elementary and preschool, as well as instructions on how to access original music from growmusic.org. So you have an overview of the series as well as a look into how to theme up your ministry space. Now let's talk about some of the exciting features of Under Construction. Now, if you've been using Grow for a while, you know our teaching is always broken up into 3 sections. The What section hooks kids with activities and questions that set up the Bible story and big idea. The So What section teaches and reinforces the scripture passage and big idea. And the Now What section helps kids dive deeper into what it all means and what next steps they can take in their relationship with God. But within this consistent structure that stays the same every time, each series uses a different combination of building blocks, like activities, object lessons, videos, reflections, and others in each major section to help teach the material in fun and new ways. Now, each series does something a little different with these building blocks, so here are a few that are unique to Under Construction. The first is the big idea reveal. The big idea in Grow is a short, simple sentence that encapsulates the truth we're trying to communicate to kids and help them remember from each week's Bible story. That's why we like to make a big deal out of revealing the big ideas in every series. In Under Construction, we suggest writing each word of the big idea on painter's tape and attaching them to cardboard blocks, or, shoe boxes can do in a pinch. Stack these up along with blank blocks into some sort of makeshift building. Then set up a wrecking ball using a beach ball or other lightweight ball that is duct taped to string and attached to the ceiling or a sturdy support, or just have a really tall leader hold it. And then you can invite kids to come and swing the ball in wrecking ball fashion to demo the building. And in a pinch, you can probably just have kids just throw the ball as well. And after all of the blocks are down, have kids help you find the blocks with words on them, and then you can put them in order together of the big idea to help them learn it that way. The second feature are elementary and preschool crafts. Listen, love them or hate them, crafts are an important part of learning for kids. And not only are they fun and interactive, but they can end up taking home a little memento that'll help them recall what they learned each week. So we usually suggest doing these in small groups toward the end of your time together, but of course you're welcome to do them however it works best for your context. In every series in Grow Kids Volume 9, you have 2 sources for crafts, the elementary and preschool tracks. But don't be fooled by the age categories. You can make any craft work for your target demographic with just a few tweaks. On the elementary side, the Under Construction crafts incorporate the theme to help kids build objects that bear the big idea, like these wisdom cones, or this construct a church activity, or this construction sign. On the preschool side, the crafts zoom in on an element of the Bible story, like this wise crown craft for Solomon, my worship place when we're talking about the temple, or this shaggy camel craft to remember the caravan that accompanied the Queen of Sheba. And of course, there are even more craft ideas included in the environment guide. And that was a quick look at Under Construction. On behalf of everyone on the Grow team, thank you for what you do to help kids learn and grow with God. You are awesome, which is why we love hearing from you. So feel free to reach out and share your experience with this series or any series through posts and photos on Instagram at Stuff You Can Use or in our Facebook group, Stuff You Can Use, a children's ministry community. Until next time, friends. Bye.